It's no secret that I hold a blatant distaste for the way that we are meant to consume media today. TV used to be an event. It would be aired once a week at the same time, and the next day people could talk about what they had seen. And you knew that they had seen it all at the same time because that was the first time it was on. And because of this format, despite the fact that it was a solo or family-specific event watching it in your home, it still became a social and communal activity. Movies, when rented through something like Blockbuster, even though, again, you're watching it in your home with your family or on your own, was still a communal activity and encouraged communication with other people because you would see other people when you went to go get your movie. But now, shows are frequently released all at once, and movies can be watched from the comfort of your own home without ever having to leave to go get it. And what ends up happening is we get very isolated from each other. If you want to go even further back than this, before TV even existed, this was the same case for how books were released. Books were either released in 3 volumes or often as periodicals released weekly or monthly with each new chapter coming out, and people could talk about it the next day. It was very much like the TV of the time. And I understand that looking back, these people who were enjoying this format probably had these curmudgeonly, angry critics saying, well, why are we releasing books in one entire volume now? And I don't want you to think that that's what I'm doing here. I'm not saying that streaming is entirely bad, but I think that technological advancements in media have made it far more convenient to consume this media, and in turn has led to the downfall of the community that surrounded it. This convenience has left us completely isolated from each other, and as a symptom of this isolation, we now have sort of lost the consideration for others and the shared experience of watching something for the first time. Let me give you an example. A couple months ago, I went to go see Inside Out 2 for the first time, and for reference, I was going on the weekend after it was released, so only about a couple days after the movie had been in theaters. And yet somehow, being less than 24 hours after the release, I still had the ending of the movie spoiled for me. Because the night before, I was minding my own business, scrolling through social media, and when all of a sudden a clip from the movie came up. No spoiler alert, no scroll to the side to watch function, just pure footage of the climax of the film. And this is not the first time this has happened to me. I've brought up before that when my family and I were watching Wednesday for the first time, we were taking it a little bit slower, watching, maybe 1 or 2 episodes a week. We had other things to do, and believe it or not, a mediocre Addams Family spinoff was not high on our list of priorities. So we had only made it about halfway through the season by the month after it had come out. And as I was watching it with my family one day, just scrolling through social media, then came a spoiler for a massive plot twist from the official Netflix account. And yes, you may argue, well, it'd been out for a month at that point, but here's the thing, my family was watching about the same amount that you would watch if it was coming out week by week. So if this show had been coming out in a weekly basis, we would be around the point, or even a little bit above the point, where this would have come out. And so seeing this post when we hadn't had a chance to watch the whole thing was kind of annoying. We've gotten so used to the convenience of streaming services and the binge watch culture that surrounds them, and we've gotten used to the idea that this is how media is meant to be consumed, completely forgetting the fact that other people don't have the time to do that. Especially people who are watching shows with their family or their significant others. They're going to end up not watching it as often as someone who's going to sit down and watch the entire season in a single day. I mean, I've never watched Bridgerton, but I could probably recap the entire first 3 seasons just based on all of the things that I've seen on social media. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. On the contrary, I think this is good because it shows that despite the fact that we're still super isolated in the way we're consuming this media, we still have this desire for connection. We still have this desire for community that surrounds watching TV and watching movies. What I am saying is that the availability and the convenience of streaming has inherently left us disconnected from each other. Because we can watch an entire season of the newest Netflix show the minute it comes out, we forget the fact that not not everyone is able to do that. And so when people are posting spoilers for it like a week after it's come out, some people haven't had the chance to even get through half of it at that point. And look, I don't blame the people who are posting this. I don't blame the woman who posted the Inside Out clip, because look, she clearly loved the movie and really wanted to talk about it and wanted to share that experience with other people. But I do think that she is a victim of the mindset that streaming has put us in. With watching TV that is being broadcast, you know that most people are probably watching it at the same time. But when an entire season is being released at midnight, some people are going to stay up late to watch it as soon as it comes out. Some people are going to wake up in the day and watch it that evening. Some people are not even going to get to it until a week later. And when they do start watching it, some people will watch it all at once, while others will spread it out over a period of time. And because we have no idea of knowing how much something is accessible to people, it makes it really hard to connect with people. Now, Disney Plus is a little bit better about this. There are some other streaming services that aren't Netflix that will release things episode by episode, week by week, and I do think that's a good thing. But I do think we still have that disconnect, because despite being released at a specific time, it's then able to be watched all the time. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the convenience of being able to rewatch something whenever you want, but I do think that the ability to watch it for the first time live is something that really gives this connection, to know that you are watching something at the same time as everyone else. And that is super special, and that's something that we've really lost. The other reason I don't necessarily blame individuals for spoiling things is because they're not the only ones doing it. The studios are doing it too. Like I already said, Netflix has spoiled many shows for me simply because I haven't finished watching it a month after it's come out. But the same thing is true for film. I think we can all relate to seeing a trailer for a movie that we were kind of excited for, realizing that the trailer basically tells you the entire plot, and getting a little bit disappointed and not wanting to go see it anymore. And Scott Kramer has a great video about this, talking about how this is not a new phenomenon and how these trailers are often more liked by focus groups than ones that reveal less. But I still want to bring it up because I think it is significant, and because it's something that has been a recent annoyance for me. And I want to talk specifically about the Wicked trailer. I'm a big musical theater nerd, so of course I was excited to see the Wicked trailer. They've been talking about making that movie for like 20 years, basically. But upon watching the trailer, I was really surprised because it basically spoils the entire first act, including all these big plot twists, these big characters that you don't know are evil but are, and it just completely spoils it. Now you may be sitting there thinking, AJ, the musical came out 20 years ago, and it's based on a book that came out in 1995. Okay, yeah, but how many people have actually watched the musical? How many people know more about Wicked than just, oh, it's if Glinda the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch were friends and the Wicked Witch was actually good? That's it. That's all people tend to really know about it, unless they're more into musical theater. And you may also say, oh, but AJ, it only spoiled the first act. It didn't spoil the second act. Yeah, because this movie is only part one. And even if it wasn't, the second act sucks. I said what I said. It does bring up an interesting question though. How long is long enough to wait before releasing spoilers for something? Is 20 years enough? Some would say no. Is a month long enough to wait before releasing spoilers for the final episode of an 8-episode season on Netflix? Maybe. Some people would argue that it is, but again, I feel like the format of releasing it once a week is a lot better because it allows people to experience it slowly. It really think about what they've seen and really get excited for the next episode. Whereas releasing it all at once, you've got some people who are going to do what I just said, some people who are going to watch it all at once. And it just leaves the community feeling this huge disconnect of who's able to participate in these conversations and who isn't. I truly believe that it really depends on the circumstances, but I also think that people should be able to avoid spoilers if they want to. Someone should be able to watch a trailer for a film to figure out what the general idea of the plot is without having the entire thing spoiled for them. Someone should be able to scroll through social media without the fear of having their show that they're currently watching spoiled for them because they started it a few days late. I think social media is a great way of connecting people, and I think that streaming services are a great convenience for being able to watch new shows and movies. But I think that the platforms, the very intrinsic design of these two things leave us very disconnected from each other. The design of these products encourages isolation, encourages individual experience over the communication and the collaboration with other people who are also enjoying it. And yeah, there are some streaming services that release shows once a week, but with the amount of money that it costs for streaming services nowadays, it's really not any surprise that you have to basically be paying the same amount that you would be for cable in order to have access to every single one that you want to watch. I have been interested in the streaming service wars for a while, since its sort of conception, back when all the new streaming services were coming out, and it's been very interesting to watch it develop. But I think that we've come to the conclusion of who's gonna win. Because the thing is that no one's really gonna win, but the one person who's gonna lose is us. We have been given way more content in exchange for way less community. And yeah, it's great that we get all these new voices being able to tell their stories, but with that, we've lost the community and the conversations that we would have with the traditional way of consuming media. And because of that, we've lost a lot of consideration for each other, especially when it comes to spoiler warnings and posting spoilers online. So yes, streaming services have a lot of really good aspects to them. But really, they end up separating us from each other, and they put us in a place where we forget to consider where other people are at with watching something. So the next time you want to post spoilers about a season finale of a show only a couple days after it's come out, please try to consider others who might not have had the time to be able to watch that much, and post a spoiler warning before you actually have the real content.